Hello, 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 everyone. For those of you who I have not met personally, my name is Sabrina Newby. I'm the CEO of the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber. I want to thank you all for your willingness to participate in this forum. This is our first forum in Chatham County. I've been interested in how Chatham County politics work, so this is my firsthand experience. The Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber has hosted some of the biggest names in Georgia politics, from Stacey Abrams all the way down to Buddy Carter. We are a very bipartisan Chamber of Commerce. However, we understand that information is knowledge, and being able to work around and with everyone is key. So having said that, I welcome you to this very diverse and very dynamic platform. The rules of engagement are very simple. Be respectful. This is a learning session, and I have been on platforms where it has been a little contentious, but this is not going to be that type of platform. It's going to be very well received, I do believe, by your audience and by ours. So if you have a question, please do not hesitate to post your question or raise your hand so we can see that you have a question, and you can be recognized by Dr. Jamal Toure, who is our moderator for tonight. So basically, he controls the flow. Each of your responses are going to be limited to 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes. And once you make those remarks, your mic will be muted at that time. And we're just doing that to be fair, and we want to give everyone an ample opportunity to make their comments and get their comments in, and have their audience to be aware of what their platform is. This is all about information sharing and sharing your platform. So again, I welcome you. And if you have questions, please post your questions so that LB can read them at the end of the forum, and you can answer them as need be. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, I will be more than happy to turn this over to Dr. Toure.
So good evening to all of the ladies and the gentlemen who are here for this forum. Now, Ms. Newby says something, questions, as LB shared, that you should go ahead and put them in the chat so she can then go from there. I am here merely to facilitate with regards to you getting your information out. I am here, this is nonpartisan, this is about information being put out to the public because we believe in voter education. There's a list of questions that were given to me, and some of them I tweaked a little bit. I did not delete any of the questions. I only deleted unless I thought there was some duplication. And so the questions are simple questions, and we're going to get started right now because this is your time, this is your forum. And the first question is, and this is for the Chatham County Commissioner candidates. Why do you want to be a member of the Chatham County Commission, and what skills or experiences will you bring to the commission? I'll repeat. Why do you want to be a member of the Chatham County Commission, and what skills or experiences will you to the commission? You have 2 minutes to respond. Whoever wants to take it first and go.
Dr. Toure?
Sir? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bobby Lockett, 3rd District County Commissioner. How are you doing this evening? I am running again for the Chatham County Commissioner. First of all, I was elected to run 3 years ago as County Commissioner for the 3rd District. And the 3rd District is probably one of the most diverse and one of the most spacious districts in the county. I have served well. Long before I was County Commissioner, I was very much a community activist. And when I say community activist, I was chair of the Housing Authority for 15 years. I chaired the St. John Baptist Church, which is a very influential church in the city. I chaired the trustee board there for 30 years. I led them through a fire, rebuilt the church, reestablished the church under Pastor Matthew Southall Blind. Not only that, but I served on the Savannah State University Booster Club, where I served as president of the Booster Club for 15 years. There, we raised more money in the history of the university as far as any organization there, except the foundation. I also served as a member and a board of directors of the Savannah State University Foundation. I have been very much in this community. I know this community. I served as the chairman of Larry Chisholm's campaign both times, and we won the first time around as the first minority district attorney. I also have the honor of managing the first Black African-American mayor of this city. I was Floyd Adams' campaign manager. I came up under the tutelage of Bobby Hill. Most of us know that Bobby Hill was probably one of the strongest political minds in this area.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lockett, we have to mute you at this point. Sabrina, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, so when you see me wave this, I don't know if you guys can, multitask, but when you see me wave the yellow folder, that means that you're down to 10 seconds. When you see me wave the red folder, that means that time is up. So we will mute you at 2 minutes. It's not to be disrespectful, but it's to give everyone an ample enough time to get their message across and through their answer. So I apologize again.
I'd love to jump in.
That's it. Thank you.
I'll go. All right, great. Hi, my name is Clinton Edminster, and I'm running for the 2nd District County Commission seat. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ture and Ms. Newby and Ms. Elm for putting this on. It's a really difficult time to be having conversations like this, so thank you guys for taking the time to provide this for, folks at home watching on Facebook. I want to bring teamwork to the county and the city's relationship. I think we really need to work on that. We're about to face a couple of tough years, especially after this pandemic. And we need to be able to work together to provide the best resources we can and coordinate at all levels whenever possible. I don't think there should be as much division as there currently is between the city and the county, and I'd definitely like to help knit that back together. I have a lot of experience doing that within my own neighborhood, of just bringing people to the table over and over and over, whether or not I have to drag them there or not. I'm interested in building that relationship back up. District 2 is entirely within the city of Savannah, and I'm very familiar with how the city of Savannah works, and I believe that the city or the District 2 commissioner kind of has a responsibility to maintain that relationship. I also really want to be strong on transportation and bring high frequency transit to people that need it throughout the whole county and throughout the city and all of our communities, so we can get to work, we can get to school, we can get to important and critical places we need to go on time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to take the floor?
Oh, okay. I think I can. If I can figure out how to get the camera so that I don't chop part of my face or head off. Hello, I'm Tabitha Odell. I am currently your 5th District County Commissioner, and I am running for re-election because I believe that I bring a unique skill set to the county. I'm a small business owner for the last 20 years, and I've maintained that business here in Savannah, Georgia. I have quite an extensive knowledge of technology that I've been able to help incorporate some changes into the county that will ensure better constituent and citizen conversation and service. We've instituted a CRM, which is something that we've never had before, and we're about to get it launched. And that will help connect all of the county departments together so that when a citizen calls in, the person that they're speaking to knows all issues that are relative to that citizen and that address. And it will also give us the opportunity to track how long an open ticket is, So it will give us a 360 approach to dealing with problems within the unincorporated area and the concerns that they have. We've also have several programs that we've been working on that will launch sometime this year, and I'd like to see those through. I believe that I am best suited for the position based on the candidates that are currently in this arena for this 5th district position. And I am hopeful that as we go forward, we'll be able to explain the differences between what the city is responsible for and what the county as an unincorporated.
I'm sorry, we had to mute you, Ms. Odell.
Any other candidates? Commission candidates?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Your
All right. So,
sound is
how y'all doing? Thank you. Emily. And to answer that question, why do I want to?
Is everyone else hearing this feedback? Mr. Whitley, your microphone is distorted. We're gonna allow you to work on your mic stuff, and then we'll come back to it. Sabrina, you have to unmute yourself.
I have a question in regards to the timer. We have tried to figure out how we can put the timer on the screen, but that does not work with Zoom. So unfortunately, this is what we have, and I hate interjecting as much as you hate hearing me interject. So if you would like to, you can also set your timer on your phone for 2 minutes, and I will monitor mine. And I will still, unfortunately, have to say time if you go over your time, but you will be able to monitor yourself.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be the bad guy, you guys. I'm sorry.
No, that's a great way of doing it. It just keeps everybody on task.
Awesome.
I was gonna pose this to Mr. Whitley with regards to, can he check his system, his microphone, so that now we can hear what he was saying, to give him that opportunity?
Can you hear me now?
It's like there's some distortion that is there, as if it's some background, almost if you're like driving something along those lines.
If he tries disconnecting from his audio and reconnecting by calling in, we may get a better signal from him.
Okay.
But that's hard to explain in the middle of a.
Right. Let's
I'll send him a quick text.
Can someone possibly text that to him or send that out in the chat so that can be done?
Will do.
But what I will do, I'll then move on to the next question, but we'll give him an opportunity to respond to the first question when that gets taken care of. That's in the spirit of fairness. So the next question, again, for commission candidates. In your own words, what are your views of responsibilities of the commissioners and the commission? I'll repeat, in your own words, what are your views of the responsibilities of the commissioners and the commission.
What's your responsibility, Commissioner?
If you need me to repeat it, I'll repeat it. In your own words, what are your views of the responsibilities of the commissioners and the commission?
I'll go.
I would speak.
Oh, go for it, Bobby. I'll shut up.
No, I'll shut up. You go ahead. You go right ahead. I'll yield to you.
Do you want me to go?
I yield.
All right. Honestly, I think for me, the answer is pretty clear. It's public trust. The commission and individual commissioners are endowed with public trust. That's kind of what any elected official agrees to when they run for any seat, locally, I'm the president of the United States, is public trust. We are given the trust of the public to do the best we damn can with it. And that's complicated because sometimes, half the people want this and half the people want that. And how do we move forward in the best way while maintaining that trust? And so, although the description of what commissioners are supposed to do, to answer your question, public trust is an easy concept, but getting there is very complicated and takes a lot of time and a lot of conversations. I'm done.
That I would give my view. First of all, a county commissioner job is to, first of all, govern and make sure that Chatham County is given, first of all, yield to public safety. We also have to think about the citizens in Chatham County. What can we do to make the citizen life a better life, a safer life, and also what is better for the overall district by which we serve? My district, which is the 3rd district, I am here, first of all, to represent my district in terms of public safety, in terms of family, and also family strength. Also in terms of what is better for the community as far as family life, recreation, not only recreation, but the betterment of our community in terms of roads, drainage. My district, which is very near the water, I need to be able to get on hand what is best for the drainage, roads. That's very important. Drainage. Whenever there is a flood in this area, we need to be able to move the drainage away from the public for their safety. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I see that we've had 2 other candidates to join us, and I want to repeat the question for them, because if they want to join in right now, they may just be observing, but I just want to throw it out there in the spirit of fairness to them. The question that we've posed to the commission candidates is this question. In your own words, what are your views of the responsibilities of the commissioners and the commission? In your own words, what are your views of the responsibilities of the commissioners and the commission? We've had representatives from the 3rd and also the 2nd district to respond. So the ones who just joined us, feel free to join in.
Good evening. This is Tony Riley, candidate for the 2nd District County Commissioner. I think that the responsibility of the commissioner, of a county commissioner, is to levy the tax rate, keep the taxes low, property taxes low and fair for all property owners. Secondly, in line with fiscal responsibility, that the different departments of the city, such as the sheriff department, as we know, the judges, the courthouse, Memorial Stadium, the public libraries, that they should be budgeted fairly and equitably, and that we should be responsive to the citizens' needs, every citizen need here in Chatham County. Rather, they're located here in the second district, which is encompassed totally within the city limits. But we have a broad range from downtown historic district all the way out to the Magnolia Park community over on Duran Avenue, with different levels of property values. And I think that we should also be sensitive and responsible to our senior citizens, our elderly, as far as their tax exemptions are concerned. And I also think that the county should do more as far as recreational provisions are concerned. And so there are probably a host of other things right now, but basically, foremost, it's to keep our taxes low. I know that the county and this crisis that we're in right now, as far as Corona is concerned, I know that the county does have a great surplus, and that was a result of great leadership.
I'm sorry, Mr. Riley. I'm not sure if you were here when we went over the rules, but we have a 2-minute time for each response. And if you go over that 2 minutes, I will be the big bad bully and mute you. Sorry.
Next candidate.
Good evening. I'm Gary Monroe. I was one of the candidates that were chiming in a little late here, so pardon my coming in. I want to thank the Culturist Union for holding this platform regarding everything that's taking place in our society today. But to the question, I think that accountability, advocacy, and efficient policy and ordinance. First and foremost, I think when I served as a zoning and planning commission for the City of God City, I used a model for myself to help me and allow me to make decisions in real time, which was CCC, and that was citizens, community, and then the commission. And we got to make sure when I make decisions that I'm making first and foremost is going to benefit the citizens. It's not going to cause any negative impact on the citizens. And then secondly, make sure that it benefits the community and that it does not cause any negative impact on the community. And then lastly, in the same sense, to make sure that any decisions and determinations that I make, it is something that is going to benefit the commission and that will not ultimately impact or affect the commission in a negative sense. But we have a sense of accountability, and I've always believed that as a commissioner or a person in a position of authority, that if that individual does not use that position to leverage that authority or power for the greater good of their constituents, they don't deserve that position. They don't deserve that power, that authority. And so I am a strong advocate for essentially how we can improve the quality of life for the citizens in a particular jurisdiction or area or province, as well as to bring a level of.
Dr. Ture.
Thank you. The next candidate.
Okay, I can go. This is Tabitha Odell of the 5th District, and the duties of the county commissioners and the commission is to maintain our fiduciary responsibility to the charter that gives us our authority. And in that we are required to maintain the business of the county and take care of all the services that are outlined in those services. And there are some things that we work with the city on, but those things are divided relatively plainly as it's outlined. And the things that we work on within the city are the libraries, the courthouse, the Board of Elections. Those things we work in cooperation with the services that are provided. And it is our job to ensure that all the citizens are heard and that we provide services that are excellent and to the best of our ability.
Okay.
And I did that within the 2 minutes, y'all.
Thank you. And the next candidate. I didn't want to pick on him. Mr. Whiteley, are you able, your mic working?
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. And in fact, I want to share with you, you have the opportunity to respond to question number 1 and number 2, since we couldn't hear you the first time.
All right. So, well, I'll go backwards then.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
So in regards to, as far as the roles and responsibilities of the members of the commission, I mean, pretty much everybody answered that. Another thing that I'd like to add is it is our responsibility to provide that oversight of the county manager and executing everything that we set forth. You know, elections also fall under our responsibility. So making sure that we're doing what we can to hold our Board of Elections accountable, or working with them, excuse me. You know, but everybody else answered that. So there's no use in grandstanding and wasting time saying everything that everybody else said. In regards to why I want to serve on the commission, I believe that I am one of those people who has been challenged throughout life and has created or gone through a lot of experiences, which has given me the confidence and the ability to communicate with people from a variety of walks of life. With that being said, I believe that as an insurance agent, for example, I've been working to help people, whether it be insuring their stuff, whether it be just kind of making some decisions in regards to their life. As a business developer, I've helped people navigate through red tape when it comes to trying to make businesses work or trying to make business happen. As a soldier, as a combat medic, as a member of the military, I've had the experience of working with people from a variety of walks of life, as well as having to operate in a high stress as well as a high scrutinized environment. And so with that being the case, I'm not afraid of being under that scrutiny. I'm not afraid of what people say about me. I care about taking care of people, and I've been able to feed my family in doing that as an insurance agent as well as a business developer. And so that's some of the reasons why I feel best qualified to serve District 6 on the Chatham County Commission.
Thank you.
Can't hear you.
You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I made a mistake. I hit the mute button. Thought I hit it. It's my fault. But this next question is one issue, one matter. You will have opportunity to talk about others, but this question goes, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing our county, and how do you plan to address it? Again, I'll repeat. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing our county, and how do you plan to address it? And I'm going to toss something out there. I'm going to say, let's start with Commissioner Tabitha Odell out of the 5th District with this question first.
Thank you. I believe the biggest issue we have right now is the vulnerability of our seniors. And we have a lot of seniors who are living longer, so they're aging further than the 65, 70 year, and they are being taken advantage of in various different ways. So one of the things that I have put in place that we are launching is called a Senior Peach program, where we're going to go out and register the seniors who live alone and get them to provide us with authorized people who are allowed to speak for them, so that if the police comes to the house and someone answers the door and they're not on that list, it gives the police officer the right to say, I have to speak to the senior. Currently, they can't do that. If someone comes to the door and says the senior's asleep or the senior's fine, the police have to leave. By setting up a system, and we're going to work with the Senior Citizens Agency here, and this database will be incorporated with the county, Chatham County Police, and they'll be able to pull it up from their police cruiser. And so hopefully it will give another layer of protection to these most vulnerable people. Stand within the 2 minutes, y'all. Okay.
Next,
So
anyone?
I'm really excited about that. The senior problem, the vulnerable seniors are an issue, and you know I have another program that I'm pulling out in the 5th district called the Power of Motherhood, where we hope to reduce juvenile delinquency through active parenting, and we'll be doing that through the churches. So those are the things that I think are the most critical in our county.
Next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So perhaps in another vein, I think though there are a variety of challenges, not too many, I won't be too critical, but I think that one of the challenges that we face is that we need to make sure that we are, as a county, investing in our youth. I believe it is an efficient approach because we are investing in youth and ultimately touching their families. The youth are tomorrow's voters, tomorrow's business leaders, tomorrow's workforce, the people that we expect to start businesses and employ people. They go to school right now. They partake in our recreation programs right now. And as a coach, as well as the general manager of a recreation organization here in Chatham County, I've seen some disconnects between the county in some regards. Now, I want to say the staff and the people there are great people. So I'm not saying it's a people issue. Perhaps it's a process issue where some of the things that we are doing when it comes to investing in our kids maybe aren't necessarily thought out and have been more based on checking the box. So I think we can get a little bit more creative when it comes to engaging our youth through athletics and also kind of tying it into academics, creating some incentives to help develop our youth. And one thing I do know is that when you touch the youth, you get access to their parents. When you touch their parents, you actually create stronger families. And so as we invest in the youth, as we help them to learn different ways to become productive members of society, I believe that will have a long-term gain for the county, which will ultimately positively benefit not only the county, but the municipalities within it.
Yeah, if I
I'll
may.
take that on. Is anybody else? Oh, is Gary going?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know the totality of the issues of the county, as there will be a learning curve for me. But what I do know pertaining to the 8th district, that it is a district that has been overlooked and neglected, and poverty as one of the most impoverished communities and districts in the county, that has to be addressed head on. And one of the things that I think that we have to do in ensuring that we address the needs of the indigenous and vulnerable communities of the 8th district is what I would like to do is bring to the table and make the 8th district a priority with my plan of systemic priority, strategic planning, and sustainable provision. What that looks like is, I've always said that politics is the system that determines whose values are represented. And so I think when we make the 8th district a priority and make it part of the system of the county, that we can begin to then make changes for the better of the 8th district. And then we talk about a strategic plan for the 8th district. And I think the way that we devise a comprehensive strategic plan is to be able to communicate with the various communities of this district to see what their needs are in a needs assessment and analysis, to see what it is and what direction the people would like to go in. I think it all just boils down to just ensuring and then looking at the plans that are already on the table, because as I alluded to, this is a learning curve as far as understanding the greater complexity of the county's issues. And so I think that with this learning curve is making sure that the comprehensive plan that the county has already in place, making sure that that plan
All right, can I jump in and answer this one? All right, I'm gonna go. All right, so again, I saw a comment somebody made on Facebook that we should be saying the districts that were, or the positions that we're running for. So again, I'm Clinton Edminster, running for District 2 County Commissioner. I believe the biggest challenge facing our county is cooperation with the other municipalities. We can do a lot of good for our seniors. We can do a lot of good for our youth. We can do a lot of good for transit. We can do a lot of good for a lot of things, but we can do so much more if we're all working together. And it's not just about the city of Savannah and the county, it's really about every municipality working together and bringing their resources and all the assets that all these amazing communities have, bringing those to the table, having a conversation about how do we equitably deploy all this stuff back out into the communities. I see that as a big problem. These are not separate kingdoms, you know. These are, we live in one general area with roads and land and people that move throughout all the different parts. And I believe that the county really can do a lot of good, but we can do so much more if we work together. And that takes relationship building, that takes cooperation. It's never really easy. These are complicated challenges that we'll be facing, but if we face them together, we'll be able to provide more for our citizens at the end of the day.
Anyone else would like to jump in?
I am dealing with recreation. I don't necessarily mean recreation in Savannah, but all of the municipalities of Chatham County. For instance, there is the Aquatic Center, which has a very strong program for youth who are challenged, for youth who are in wheelchairs. For we have a situation there by which we can actually bring them in their wheelchairs, place them in the water, and allow them to exercise, allow them to swim, allow them to interact with others who are in that same position. But not only that, we have for recreation, older citizens, senior citizens, walking parks. And we're in the process now in the 3rd district of completing a new walking park by which the senior citizens can go out, walk in peace, and if they're able, they can also run, exercise. That is very important for our citizens in Savannah. We also talk about having parks and recreation in the various communities. Chatham County, Tybee, other communities here, other cities within our municipality. For instance, we have the McCoy Park, which is down in the Riverview area, which is a very good park and many areas for recreation. And not only that, but this allows our youth to be active. This allows our youth to be productive. This allows our youth to work with others rather than out committing crime, rather than out doing things that are not so good in our area.
I'd like to answer that question if I may. Can I go?
Go ahead.
Thank you. This is Tony Riley again, candidate for 2nd District County Commissioner. What is the biggest challenge in our community as far as I'm concerned? It's jobs, new job creation, new tax resources or revenue. And as you all know, we have entities in this community or institutions in our community who don't pay any taxes. And I have come up with what I call the pilot program, which is the acronym for payment in lieu of taxes. So I'd like to institute a program where the institutions in our city who don't pay taxes will foster or fund a program or take on something that's already established in our city, like the mental health clinic out on the Ren, maybe a youth program, maybe the senior citizens program, but some way that they could pay us a fee to cover some of the expenses for some of the programs that the county provide our citizens. And as far as jobs are concerned, we have a lot of industry here, but as we all know, a lot of the folks that come to Chatham County to work don't live in Chatham County. They come from Bullitt County, Effingham County, Striven County, Liberty County, Bryant County, and they come here every day and work, and they take the dollars out of Savannah, they take the tax dollars out of Savannah, and they go pay them in other counties where they live. And so there has to be some kind of way that we could create other jobs or other programs or services to get some more industry here in Savannah. And when these industries come, we need to tell these industries that they have to hire local. I know that there is a company now that's in negotiation to bring.
Anyone else?
Mr. Riley was the last candidate for the commission.
Was I timed out? Was I timed out? Did I go over my 2 minutes?
Yes, you did.
Oh, I didn't know we had 2 minutes on that one. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm not sure, Torrey, was I unmuted, or were you able to hear me as I was speaking?
Oh, we heard you. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
All right. And yes, for everyone, it's always been 2 minutes. Just to throw that out there, Mr. Riley. Everyone's been 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
All right. What we're going to do now, and the reason why, since time is winding down, we will be moving on to the chairmans, but then also the reason why I emphasize to y'all, get out what you thought was the biggest issue that you're facing as a commission with regards to this county, because now in 2 minutes, this next question is, what is your platform? You have to state your platform in 2 minutes, and how do you plan on accomplishing your platform within the 2 minutes? And we'll start with the 8th district.
Yes. Like I said, PPP, first and foremost, and that's in dealing with the impoverished issues of the 8th district. It has to be a priority. We got to first and foremost make the 8th district a priority. And that begins by working with the other commissioners of Chatham County and making that a priority, and being an advocate for the 8th district, and devising, secondly, a plan for the 8th district. And that's first and foremost working with the commission, and then secondly, working with the constituents of the 8th district and taking a needs assessment of going to each one of those communities, whether they have a community organization or individuals from their community, and inquiring and asking what are the things that are necessary in their community, as well as where do they see their community and where would they like to see their community go in the future. And then finally, working with both county commission And as Mr. Riley said, looking at various sources of revenue, because it takes revenues to fund a vision, to be able to say, where can we get these sustainable revenues from to be able to make the changes or be able to bring about the things that those particular communities and the 8th district so desperately need. So again, it's working with our commission and putting those priorities on the agenda of the commission board, along with staff, and then it's working along with the various communities in devising a plan of what they would like to see their various communities go, and then looking at the various opportunities and avenues is where we can generate the resources to be able to fulfill those particular and specific needs.
Next. It's open for anyone.
If I may, if you're not going by districts, I'll just get in here, please. Is there anybody?
That's fine. What I want to do, what I'm saying to district, because some people did not have opportunity to go first. So we're just trying to be fair, trying to spread it around. So yes,
Absolutely,
go for it.
absolutely. Carry on, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
Go for it. Mr. Riley, go ahead, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, sir. My platform, ladies and gentlemen, will be one of poverty reduction, job creation, economic development, continue the funding of the sheriff department, the juvenile justice system, our court system. As you know, the county is in the process now of building an annex to house our superior court. I would like to be a part of that, continue in that development, in that program, make sure it's funded right, make sure that it's done equitably. You know, the county does have a program that ensures that local contractors and business people get a piece of our $200 million budget. I would like to see those programs improved and expounded upon. I would also like to see that the people that we put on the CETA board and the CAT board and the other boards that the county has appointees, make sure that we have folks who are visionaries or have visions, who are following these programs and who have the heart and the mind of the people that they're serving, to make sure that our interests and our advancement is going forward. I would also, and I didn't get a chance to say why I wanted to run, but I have always had a passion to serve this community. I've been doing it for over 30 or 40 years, and I look forward as I campaign to talk to the constituents in the 2nd District about their platforms and their needs and concerns and what they want to see me do as their commissioner on the 2nd District. Thank you very much. Thank you, and I need your vote and I need your support on June the 9th. It keeps moving and I keep moving. Thank you.
All right, I'll go next, if that's not a problem.
Go ahead.
All right, so for those who don't know, my name's Aaron A. Whiteley. I'm running for commissioner of the 6th District. My platform is youth engagement, business development, as well as accountability and accessibility. Now, when it comes to youth engagement and development, like I said, the youth are tomorrow's business owners, the youth are tomorrow's leaders, voters, and the youth are tomorrow's workforce. So I think it's important that we invest in them, make sure that we are putting effort to build them up and prepare them to be competitive, because I'd hate for the jobs that are coming here, whether it be the manufacturing jobs, the logistic jobs, and so on and so forth, I hate for those to go to people who don't necessarily live here, because ultimately that could hurt our tax base. When it comes to business development, kind of in the same vein as we talked about those jobs that are coming here with manufacturing and logistics, I think it's important that Chatham County citizens are a part of that growth. I think it's important that we are helping to start businesses that fit into those categories. I think it's important that we invest in our citizens and help them with the soft skills and whatnot to benefit from jobs as well as professions or businesses in that. I think when we do that, when we invest in skills programs and business development programs, it, like I said, creates business owners. It's going to help create jobs and ultimately help reduce poverty. As far as how I would go about some of those things, like the youth engagement and development, one of the things I would do would be to push to build additional recreational spaces and community centers that ultimately wouldn't just help the youth, they would have secondary benefits to the community at large. And the last thing is, like I said, accountability and accessibility, because I know that I don't have all the answers. I'm going to need help from the community. So with that being said, I have to be accessible to hear what they have to say, but also to hear what they have to say to me, whether I want to hear it or not. So I'd look to.
I'm sorry, Mr. Whiteley. Ms. Odell?
Hello. Okay, I'm Tabitha Odell. I'm currently your 5th District County Commissioner, and I'm running for re-election. My platform includes to continue the work that we've started with the county blueprint. Those things include working on crime through community involvement. We have started programs like the Front Porch, and we are working with the community health, mental health issues, and we have several programs that we've funded and are pushing forward to address those issues in the community. We have worked to strengthen our infrastructure and to address areas that needed extreme concern regarding flooding, and our technology infrastructure has been reinforced. And we are also working to broaden our diversity among the county. We have several large diverse groups that live here in Savannah, and we want to include all of those people as a part of our community services. And so we are pushing forward to be a place where you want to live, work, and play. And we are hoping that as our school system continues to grow and develop, that it will provide us with an educated workforce that will encourage business to come here. One of our biggest problems with bringing industry here is the workforce availability. And right now, our workforce is geared toward service jobs. And that is something that we're going to have to make sure that the school addresses and build those skills that are marketable. You know, you have to know how to use the computer, understand the programs, be able to do advanced levels of math, understand reading in a greater degree than just an elementary school level. So,
I'm sorry, Ms. Odell. Was that it?
No, we still have some others. I think Commissioner Stone has joined us also, but we still have.
Again, Bobby Lockett, 3rd District County Commissioner. First of all, I would like to let it be known that I am a certified county commissioner who was certified by the Carl Vinson Institution up at University of Georgia, which means those things that Commissioner Odell just spoke about, I was very much a part of keeping those situations going. And Chatham County has done a very good job as far as creating jobs or workforce and aligning and preparing people to serve in various positions that when various institutions or various businesses want to come into Chatham County, we are in a position, we must be in a position to have the workforce that will allow those individuals to be able to fulfill those positions. Not only that, but public safety. We have a very fine police department in Chatham County, by which their responsive time, I remember when I first got on the commission, we had a problem with response time. We're having to bring policemen from this side of town to that side of town. But now we have them in various positions where they could be more responsive and to whatever the needs are in the area. Not only that, but we also have a better recreational position in Savannah now, very strong on recreation department. And that is very good for the youth. That is very good for the seniors. That is very good for Savannah as a whole. The county commissioner in Chatham County, they are doing a great job. We intend to do even better, a better job. That is why we need to keep commissioners like Bobby Lockett in the 3rd District. Bobby Lockett as
Sorry, Mr. Lockett.
We have, before I turn it over to LB and also Sabrina Newby, we have our last commissioner, Commissioner Helen Stone. Commissioner Stone, what we're discussing, what we put forth to the candidates, state your platform and how you plan on accomplishing that, and you must do it within 2 minutes. And then the next people will be those lovely ladies.
Okay, thank you so much. Today was a very interesting day. I received and was on a phone call with the President of the United States and the Vice President about mental health and how it's affecting COVID-19. As the existing commissioners know, that has been a concern of mine because of our inmate population at the jail. Roughly 20 to 25% of the inmates in the Chatham County Detention Center suffer from a mental illness and/or substance abuse. Not only is this unfair for low-level offenders who need help, it's also a tremendous burden on our annual operating budget. So we are moving forward with opening a behavioral crisis center here in May. And I'm so proud of this commission for moving forward with this and taking the initiative and doing something that to help people that in many instances they cannot help themselves. So that is number one. That does play into public safety. I agree with, I was late coming on the call because I wasn't totally aware of it, but I was informed by Commissioner Odell and I appreciate that. So the other things would be workforce development is terribly important. The jobs for our youth, to keep our youth in this community is critical. In our school systems, the vocational and technical training is growing, and I think it's incredible. It gives people many, many options as far as getting into the workforce. So we're doing a great job on this existing commission, and I'm very grateful to work with the people that I work with.
Thank you. I made a mistake. One person did not, and I had to go and say, Mr. Edminster, would you go state your platform within the 2-minute time period?
Yeah, thank you. And I kind of lost you guys there. So can you all hear me? Yes. All right, great.
Yes, we can.
All right, so my platform, I kind of think about it in 3 different layers. First one is kind of concrete stuff that I really want to work on. Day 1, get started. Let's get stuff into District 2. The second one is kind of more of a how do we think about doing that? And then the third layer is kind of a philosophy of what a county commissioner can do for a community. So at the base level, what I really want to start on and what I'm ready to get started on day 1 of entering office is transportation, community health, and resiliency. So the way I think about this is we have a pretty damn cool transportation system as it is now, Chatham Area Transit. We could be doing a much better job with the same resources and the same amount of money if we clean up the routes a little bit and provide high frequency transit. This would help with our workforce development. This would help with getting folks to the hospital, to school, kids to after school projects. A good transportation system would be one of the most valuable assets that this community could ever invest in, ever. The second one is community health. We've got to make sure that we're protecting the services for our elderly and our youth. I also think not only does the county have a great record of doing recreational impact, but we also need to think about arts and culture. There are 2 ways to be healthy, mentally and physically. And the county is focused physically, and I think we need to think about mental health as well. And the other one is resilience, which I'll keep short. That's about how quickly can we bounce back as a community, get people back to jobs, back to school, back to work when tragic things happen, such as hurricanes or a pandemic. So the second layer is, how do we do this? The two parts to that I have is that we have to work together. We have to work with all of our municipalities and invest in those relationships with everybody around us so that we can use their resources and they can use ours. So we're sharing. And now that we got the sharing synergy going, what we need to do is have more investment made into District 2, which I think has been historically kind of overlooked because we're entirely within the city. So the third part is, I want to reimagine what it means to be a county commissioner, somebody who's accessible, somebody who's available, and somebody who's a team player. My name is Clinton Edminster, and I'm running for District 2 County Commissioner.
I'm glad you got that under 2 minutes. I was worried about you.
Thank you, LD.
So you ladies have the floor now.
Hey, and I have to go off. I have a class, so I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm not going to be able to continue. Have to go and keep working on this master's degree. But thank all you guys for candidates for running, and thank you for the opportunity, y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, and be safe.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you guys for participating on our very first platform. This is the first for Chatham County in regards to the partnership between the Culturist Union and the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber. However, this will not be the last. Right now, what we ask that you do is, if you're more than welcome to stay on as we get ready to bring our county commissioner chair candidates on, but we'll give you a 5-minute break to get you water, to get you get whatever you need. You may want to freshen up right before you go on screen, because I understand how important that can be. But take 5 minutes. You are being timed, and just remember, as you guys come onto the platform, you have 2 minutes to answer the question. So here's how we should do that to make it easier for you. If you pull out your phone, or if you're on your computer, laptop, notebook, whatever you have, set your timer for 2 minutes. So you won't be distracted when I'm passing these big envelopes around, so you guys can see exactly that your time is almost up or is up, okay? And at the end of the session, we will take the audience. So if you guys want to come back, and we hope that you do, we can ask you some questions from the audience, because they have been submitting a few, as I've seen. If you have any questions for me or Dr. Toure or Ms. Elby. Okay, it is now 7:14. You guys have 5 minutes to reset.
Thank you, guys. This has been
You're
fun.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Yes, indeed. It's important for the voters to know.
You guys can also talk now. You're free to unmute yourselves for the next 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So you can talk and ask questions however you see fit. If you have any questions for me, please do. You guys remember, so we have a lot of, this is important. This is very important to hear what each candidate is going to say, from whether you're a state candidate or if you're a local candidate. It is very important to hear what each one has to say. In the next couple of days, we are going to be sending out invites to our state candidates and to the other county candidates, the tax commissioners, the DAs, and so forth, in order to join us on the platform. The reason we did only
So I didn't get a invitation. I had some supporters to call me up to tell me about this, that this was going on. So my email address is tonyriley4.duty@gmail.com. So please
Mr. Riley, could
let
you
me know when the next event is going to take place so that I can be ready.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But Definitely. And if you know of a candidate that is not in the loop, because we did try to reach out to everyone. We went on your websites. We actually went on the county website. There was some information there, but then there was some pieces that were missing. So if you know of a candidate that has not been reached out to, please have them reach out to us. We are not turning any candidate away. Again, this is a bipartisan event, and we want your platforms to be heard. Some people may have asked why the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber does this, because we believe that business and politics go hand in hand, and you can't have a discussion without having discussing the other. So we want to make sure that your voices are heard and that our voices are understood as constituents.
Thank you. Thank you. And I really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate you all doing this, especially under the circumstances that it's kind of hard to get folks to come to the door and talk to you as I go out in the neighborhood, unless I catch some people out watering their grass or walking the dog, as everybody's doing about this time of day. So this platform was great, and I look forward to the next time.
You're more than welcome, sir. You're more than welcome.
Thank you very much.
You guys have 2 minutes.
If anyone missed any of the emails, like Ms. Newby just said, if anyone missed any emails, please feel free to direct message the Culturist Union. Myself or my co-founder, Carmen McCullum, will collect your emails to make sure that you are aware of any other forums that we do in the future. And so that way we don't miss you or anyone else that you know of. And we are about to get started in 1 minute.
LB.
Ma'am.
Commissioner Ellis, has he, do you see him on? I'm just trying to make sure that they're not having any issues.
I see him.
Okay, great.
He's on.
And Commissioner, okay, just want to make sure.
All right, it is 7:19. Okay, we are back. For anyone who is new, I want to thank you for participating in the Culturist Union and the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber of Commerce first virtual political forum. My name is Elby Elm. I am the founder of the Culturist Union alongside my co-founder, Carmen McCullum. We are so happy to be partnering with of the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber of Commerce to present this opportunity for everyone to be heard. As Dr. Ture said, this is a bipartisan platform, and I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping rules. So everyone will be on mute at all times unless you are going to speak. If you are going to speak, please unmute yourself. You have 2 minutes to answer any questions or state any statements. At that 2-minute mark, at the 10 seconds before, Ms. Sabrina Newby will flash a yellow card. And then 10 seconds later, she will flash a red card. Once she flashes that red card, I will mute you. I apologize if you get offended, but that is what's happening. We are live streaming directly onto Facebook Live, so any of your constituents can follow the Culturist Union and see this in real time. We are also recording this, this Zoom meeting, and tomorrow the Culturist Union will send this out to everyone so that you can have this for yourself. At this moment, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to pass this to Ms. Newby so she can go over the next part of the forum.
Hello, 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 everyone. I am Sabrina Newby, for those of you who have not met me personally. Welcome to the political platform in conjunction with the Culturist Union. I have been wanting to deep dive into the Chatham County politics for a while, and as we've moved into the area, it's very interesting, and I'm just so delighted that each of you have taken the time to decide to engage us tonight. This is a wonderful platform for you to actually reach out to your audience, to your minority audience, as well as the audience overall. So a couple of things, as you know, LB just discussed that as you approach the 2-minute marker, then I will be giving you get ready to close out sign or time's up. Okay, so I ask that each of you, if you have a clock, if you have your phone, if you have a notebook, a laptop, go onto your laptops and notebooks and phones and set your timer for 2 minutes. That way you can kind of, gauge yourself, and we don't have to cut you off, and you can get your point out. The moderator for tonight's event is Dr. Teray, and without further ado, I will not keep you. I will turn it over to Dr. Teray.
So good evening to the gentlemen who are running for this very important position. And we'll jump into it because it's not about us, it's about you now touching your people, touching the electorate, because voter education is something we believe in. The first question is a simple question. The question goes, why do you want to be the chairman of the Chatham County Commission? And what skills or experiences will you bring to the commission? I will repeat. Why do you want to be the chairman of the Chatham County Commission, and what skills or experiences will you bring to the commission? And it's open for anyone to start.
I'll go ahead. Can you hear me? Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Great. First off, I want to thank you all for doing this. This is a unique situation we find ourselves in, and the ability to connect with voters and citizens in this unique way. And you all doing this makes a big difference, and we appreciate it. It's my understanding that the press release from the Atlanta was that the primary is going to be pushed back to June the 9th. So I'd encourage everybody who's watching this to make sure that they, everybody should have gotten an absentee ballot application to make sure that you submit that so we can have as high a voter turnout as possible in these strange circumstances. I'm running for commission chairman because in my experience, both as the mayor of Tybee for the last 14 years, number one, and number two is a educator at Johnson High School for the last 21 years. I feel like we have a real opportunity to bring our communities together. And by that, I mean all of the municipalities, the people in the unincorporated counties, all 8 commissioners from the various districts can all be led by a chairman who can establish some common goals and make sure that we achieve them. I think in the immediate term, we're going to have the county's going to have, just like all governments, businesses, et cetera, are going to have some serious financial issues. You want to have somebody who's been through a situation like this. I was the mayor of Tybee in 2008 when we went through that economic downturn and was able to lead us out of it without raising taxes, without cutting back on our employees or cutting back on services. Because at this time, you're going to have a need for more services. At the same time, you're going to have less money. So that's going to be a challenge for the next chairman. So I feel like I bring a unique skill set to the table that will enable me to accomplish what we need to accomplish as a county and what are going to be some very trying financial times.
All right, who's next?
Good evening. Let me first thank you for organizing this event and for bringing before the people of Chatham County an opportunity to hear from those of us who seek to be the next chairman of the Chatham County Commission. My heart and prayers go out, first of all, to all the families affected by the COVID-19. This virus is strong, but I want to ensure the citizens of Chatham County that we are stronger. Now is the time for proven leadership. For 30 plus years, I've been on the front line for the Chatham County communities, and that stands all the communities in Chatham County.
I have stood for building safer environments where our families can live, they can learn, they can work, and they can strive. Leadership is in my DNA. Through my service and successful work with others, my peers have confidently elected me as the current vice chairman of the Board of Commissioners, and I am a certified commission. I have worked for all 8 districts that have make up the Chatham County Commission. As chairman, I will continuously openly work with the 8 districts to create a viable economy for Chatham County. The citizens of Chatham County are my business. On day one, as the chairman, the citizens will continue to be my top priority as we negotiate a new economic advancement and a new business opportunity. We are in good financial shape at this particular time, and at this particular place, we have the present county commission have set aside those reserves so that we knew we were planning for a disaster. Now, we weren't looking for this disaster, but we were looking for the hurricane season to come, and that is coming towards us. So again, my name is Chester Ellis, and I'm running for Chester for Chatham.
Next.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Commissioner Jones, and once again, I think these 2 organizations for putting this event together. It is much needed in these times because we cannot go out there and have face-to-face conversation like we would normally be doing during this time, where we would do door-to-door knocking and all those other means of trying to get our message out to be the next set of leadership in this community. I'm not going to belabor you as far as repeating anything that my 2 counterparts had already spoke of, but I just want to say that leadership is something that we all should be seeking when we jump into the chairman's race. And when we talk about the chairman, a lot of people didn't realize how important the chairman's position was until this time actually happened. This situation brought us to the forefront of understanding that the county is vulnerable at any time. We always get prepared for those issues that we can prepare our minds for, but COVID-19 changed the whole world. And it's continuously changing the world as far as education is concerned, as far as our environment is concerned, as far as all those different things in our community is concerned. And so we need vibrant leadership that's actually going to move the narrative forward. Not look at how we did things in the past, but how we should do things in the future. And so I encourage us to understand that I have a simple platform, as simple as ABC. We need to focus more on our A1 Chatham County services, making sure our services are the best service for our community. Business sense for everybody, making sure that we are tapping into the businesses of future and tomorrow to take care of our next generation of people who want to bring forth business, and community inclusion, making sure everybody in the community is inclusion. Not just Savannah, not just Chatham, but all 7 municipalities are included in this conversation. At this point, I'm gonna leave it at that as far as my platform's concerned, because I think we need to make sure that we're getting our message out here clear to everybody. I thank y'all once again for putting this platform together.
Thank you. Now, this is going to be a daunting task for the gentlemen who are running for chairman. And Commissioner Jones alluded to some of it. And this question is, what is your platform? And how do you plan on fulfilling the goals of your platform during your term? I will repeat. What is your platform? And how do you plan on fulfilling the goals of your platform during your term? And you have to do that in 2 minutes. And that's why I say, I know that is a daunting task for you to state your platform to the public and then how you plan on fulfilling it. And it's open for anyone to start.
Well, I'll go first if you don't mind. First off, like I stated before, my platform is as simple as ABC. A1 Chatham County Service, let me start with that piece right there. It's just making sure that we're providing the best services for our community. I think, like my counterparts already spoke of, I think we do a good job of providing services in our community. But is it the best job we can possibly do? I think we have a lot of room to grow as far as making sure that those services provided to all citizens within our constraints is equitable, fair, and modest, and we're not breaking the bank to try to change out anything we need to do. The second piece, like I said before, business inclusion or a business sense for everybody, is making sure that, you know, in this time, we saw that we're taking a real hard economic downfall in our county because a lot of our money is tied to tourism. And so what's happening is we're going to have a high unemployment rate because a lot of our services is tied, or a lot of our business is tied to tourism. And so making sure we're equitable, bringing manufacturing opportunities and other opportunities to this community is very important, because creating a strong business environment changes our economics. And then I said before, community inclusion for everybody is making sure that when I go to Garden City, they have a voice to be heard. When I go out to Pooler, they have a voice to be heard. When I go to Port Wentworth, they have a voice to be heard. And when I go to Tybee Island, they have a voice to be heard. And I think that these are things that we have to really focus on in our upcoming election. And you know, I'm not gonna give everything away, but I just want to make sure we focus on those three components as far as my platform is concerned.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go ahead. Commissioner Ellis, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I would echo a lot of the things that Commissioner Jones said. I think, you know, you can't really get anything done that has a whole lot of value if you don't have your financial house in order. And I would commend the county and Commissioner Scott, or Chairman Scott. The county currently has about 30.7% of its annual general fund budget set aside in what you might call a rainy day fund. As Commissioner Ellis said earlier, you know, nobody really necessarily anticipated this being the issue that we were going to be facing. But if you don't have your budget in line, you have a problem. Now, if you go back 15, 16 years, the county had basically no fund balance at all. And I think we actually need to build on that balance because it might be that we need a little bit more than that 30%. That also you get you to a AAA bond rating to help you borrow money to do projects that you want to get done. Secondly, I think it's important, if you look at what's going on right now, you have to have good emergency communications. With what's happening right now, I think that it's important that the chairman, in his role as head of the county, make sure that he or she brings together the municipalities, the schools, everybody, and communicates with one voice to the citizens in the county. And that needs to happen with regularity and consistency. And then finally, I think there was a SWOT analysis done recently for the county, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the number one threat faced by the county is a lack of collaboration between the counties, the municipalities, the nonprofits, the business community. We all need to really come together. There's a community blueprint that's been put together. If we want to achieve those goals in that blueprint, we've got to collaborate. And I think the chairman has a unique role to play in bringing people together.
Go ahead. Unmute me. All right, let me say to you that my top priorities are economics, public health, safety, and education. These are the blueprint that we have put in place. For the last 8 years, I have worked with the county commission and for the county, with the county, even before I was a county commissioner, on establishing this blueprint. The next step to the blueprint is coming up with the master plan. And the master plan should include, as far as economics is concerned, job creation, local business retention, and expansion. And let me say this, how we will accomplish that. We look at Chatham County now, and the Chatham County is heavy into manufacturing. What I want to do is, as chairman, is move Chatham County into the biometric field, into the technology field, and into the pharmaceutical field. If you were studying upon those nationwide, those are some of the best jobs that are offered. Those are high-paying jobs. If we bring those entities into the county, then we will be able to move the county forward, because it will affect our education, it will affect our public health, it will affect our poverty rate, and we have to heighten for disaster. The Secretary of State today just moved the primary date, And what he did was he moved it into hurricane season. So therefore, in the midst of this episode and in the midst of what we're going through now, what we have to do is we have to be ready in case there is a hurricane, because the National Weather Service has said there are 4 major hurricanes that should develop during this season. And so if we heighten and put the equipment in place to do for our first responders and for those who have to take care of us in our education system, then we will be ready.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to our next question. Give examples of your ability and experience to build consensus with diverse groups for solutions. I will repeat. Give examples of your ability and experience to build consensus with diverse groups for solutions. And it's open for anyone to start.
I'll go ahead and start. Is that okay? Thank you. So in my role out at Tybee, Tybee's a pretty unique place in that we have a lot of different constituencies. I had I had city council members who were very conservative. I had city council members who looked like Jerry Garcia and were very liberal. And what I did at the beginning of every 2-year term was brought all of them, all the council members together, and we'd work for several hours on establishing some goals that we all shared in common, and then worked for the next 2 years to build the resources and come up with plans to accomplish those goals. A lot of those were very ambitious goals. Some of them were less ambitious, but what we did is we kept track of them. We'd have quarterly meetings where we met and made sure that we were on task and people were being held accountable if they weren't doing what they needed to be doing. So we've accomplished a lot out here. For example, we started a charter school thanks to a lot of hard work on behalf of a lot of community volunteers that brings kids from all over the county out to Tybee so they can experience the beach and the education that's provided by the Tybee Maritime Academy. We've built up a dune system, which was an extraordinarily complex operation to get that done. We took our fund balance from basically nothing when I started as mayor to having 10 months in reserve. So the county has about 4 months in reserve. Tybee has 10 months in reserve because we've been really responsible and we established that as a goal. So basically my answer is you've got to work with all of your elected leaders. And we, going forward, there will be 8 hardworking, smart commissioners, and you need to leverage all of that energy and all of that intelligence and all of that experience to establish common goals and move the ball forward for the county.
Let me give you an example of how I have been working across all aisles. It does not matter what your race or creed or color is. In our public school system, let me say that there are 26 different languages that we have to help with getting to know those folks and getting those folks to understand. What we have done as the county commission, this present commission, is we have provided the leadership so that we are now at the threshold of crossing into a AAA bond rating, which will cause us to save monies as we build the new courthouse. I have already also worked with the Hispanic community. Out of disaster and emergencies comes things that we know we do. And when Hurricane Michael came, we found that we were trying to evacuate folks, but in our Hispanic community, they weren't understanding what we were saying. So we put together a workforce task that worked with the emergency management team who could put those things together, who could speak those different languages we need so that we could evacuate folks. We worked with the DOT and the federal government to help with the hurricane situation as it affects places like Port Wentworth and other places besides just Tybee. You know, it has to be across the board. We had to work with those who were in Bloomingdale. We have worked with as a liaison between the emergency management department and those who are working with the COVID-19. And so from those things, you'll find that not only have I worked with the citizens here, or who are just Black, who are just white, who are just Jewish, who are just green, but I have crossed all levels to bring together those things that we needed for our community.
All right, Mr. Jones.
Hello, could you restate the question again, please, sir?
Yes, excuse me. Give examples of your ability and experience to build consensus with diverse groups for solutions. Give examples of your ability and experience to build consensus with diverse groups for solutions.
All right. First, I want to highlight, when you say diverse groups, we're talking about working across racial, age, and different kinds of barriers that we don't see as similar, but we can collectively work together to bring a better scenario or good for those people. I am a part of the National Association of County Officials Education and Human Services Committee. And with that committee, we work with different states, we work with different counties, we work with poor populations, rich populations, we work with a various group of populations out there to get bylaws, to get rules and regulations, to get policy passed on the federal level. And then that matriculates down to the local level or the state level, where we work with the ACCG, Association for County Commissions of Georgia. And we have that same conversation on that level. We're working on those same policies, those same resolutions to make sure that level gets done. And then we take that, bring it down here to the local level here in Chatham County. The issue with it is here in Chatham County is it's not always been available, acceptable here, because we refuse to play the diversity game here locally. And so one thing I have been able to do is working across different lines locally, maybe not in the Chatham County sense locally, but as far as in the population, in the community, to ensure that we're getting some of these policies to matriculate down. I have conversations with DFACs. I have conversations with the Human Health Services departments. And basically, those conversations are saying, hey, we need those things in Chatham County, and we need to make those things available here locally. So these are some things that I do. But when we talk about diversity, we're saying that we want it across all guidelines of differences in our community.
Okay. The next question is, do you support MWBE and DBE programs? And if you do support them, how can we improve those programs? I will repeat. Do you support MWBE and DBE programs? And if you do support them, how can we improve those programs?
Can I speak first, please? I can speak first, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. First off, we can't starve MWB programs. We have to, if we really want to have a successful program for our community, we have to talk about how we're going to fund it to the max to make sure that we're trying to make sure minority and women businesses are successful in our community. If we're not willing to put the kind of money that it takes to fund it, then we're just having a conversation right now. To fund it, you just can't fund a director and a secretary. You have to fund it to the point where you're going to bring the state level and the federal level people down here to ensure that those programs are really putting teeth into a system that's not built for minorities or women in our environment. And so in essence, if we're not willing to take the first step, which is fund it, then we're just blowing smoke. And so I assure you, as the next county chair, I will make sure we take the time to fund these kind of programs. Because when I go down there and talk to them, the biggest barrier is there's no funding for that program. And then when I look at the blueprint that's brought before us as a commission, the request is there, but we just don't fund it. And so in essence, the first step is we got to be willing to fund it, and it has to have teeth to build strong minority and women businesses in our community.
I can take it from there. Let me just say this, that the MWBE program and the DBE program needs strong leadership. It needs leadership that can cause businesses to thrive. One of the problems I found with the county, the city, the school board, is that they have in place all the different qualifications that the programs need, and where there is monies for these programs, but yet when the minorities go to apply for the program, they have to be certified on all levels. So what I would suggest to us that we do with the MWBE and the DBE program is to have a united certification program, so that if I'm certified to work with the county, I'm certified to work with the school board, I'm certified to work with all municipalities, and then have the leadership to make sure that we can increase our participation. At present, the county has a pretty good minority program, but I see room for more improvement. I don't have time to go through all of the improvements that I think that we can make to strengthen, but I do know that if we use strong leadership to involve our minorities and to involve our women-owned businesses, then we can promote these businesses and we can cause them to thrive. If we cause them to thrive, we cause the county to thrive. And so that makes it better for everyone. And so together, we can build a strong voice for our minorities and for our women-owned businesses by working together and crossing those hurdles that I just mentioned.
I would certainly support any initiative that will deliver more opportunities to more people in our county. We have such an amazing and thriving tourism sector. We have the ports, we have SCAD, we have Gulfstream, we have so many wonderful things going on in our county, but the majority of the jobs are small business jobs, and we need to support them as best we can. I'm just thinking of a few examples of how the county could play a role in that. If you look at the SPLOST projects, making sure that those projects, when they're bid out, those bid documents are prepared in such a way so that local minority-owned businesses, et cetera, women-owned businesses have an opportunity to take advantage of that. That's the 6 cent on the sales tax, which brings in a significant amount of money to the county. I also think the county can play a role in reducing barriers to starting new businesses, whether it's a restaurant or whatever. I do hear some feedback. I think the county and the staff does a good job with this for the most part, but I do hear some feedback from people who try to start businesses that they have a hard time with permitting and other things. And I think we can streamline that using technology and other things to make it more in line with what happens in other communities. And then, right now in time of crisis, you look at this SBA program that has been being funded by the federal government. I think the county can play a role, at least in helping to guide small businesses that are being affected by this, to get some support from the federal government. I think the county can step in and support in some level with permit fees and things of that nature to help them get back on their feet. There's so many small businesses that are going to be out of business because of this COVID-19, and the county needs to do whatever it can to step in to support them and get them back on their feet.
Thank you. Gentlemen, we're now going to have a question that's caused some people to shudder. And this question is, provide an example of what will necessitate a millage rate increase. Provide an example of what would necessitate a millage rate increase.
I can answer. I'll start with that. That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Well, I think it's so critically important that governments set aside enough money so that when something like this happens, which again, nobody really could have expected anything like this, at least to this degree, that you have the wherewithal so that you can get through these times without having to have a millage rate increase. We saw in 2008 and 2009, the property tax digest dropped significantly, countywide, nationwide, really, but especially in places on the coast and in the Northeast, where property values had gone up for so long before 2008. But if you have a nest egg sitting there, you can avoid having to do that, because if you raise taxes during a time of a crisis, whether it's a hurricane or something like this, or after 9/11, the people are struggling just as much as the governments are struggling. You don't want to add to their burden. So my answer to that would be, you have to have strong, intelligent, forward-thinking financial planning and management to avoid having to put that burden of your failure to plan on the backs of the taxpayer.
All right, let me, can I speak now?
Go ahead.
All right, let me just say that when I think about what would cause me to create a millage rate increase, and the only thing I can come up with is being unprepared. And let me say to you what I mean by that. When Hurricane Michael came, the county had to come up with $30 million for us to take care of those things that needed to be done in this community. And we didn't have to do a millage rate increase, nor did we have to do a tax increase. When Hurricane Irma followed, we spent $11 million, the county was prepared. So therefore, if you're not prepared, then that's when you would have to go back to your taxpayers. Let me say that when you are prepared, and that's why I'm strong about knowing what is before us, where we are, but yet plan for those things that are unseen. I submit to you that when I look at our financial situation right now, even though if we spend another month in the present situation that we're in, I think that the county is in good shape by its reserves. I'm glad that we have been a commission that look for reserves and look how to have monies to help people in situations like the present one we're in. That's why I brought up the fact that right behind this COVID situation, we may be running into hurricane season. And so therefore we have to be prepared. And by being prepared, you cause the tax rate not to go up. And so I'm kind of perplexed to find out, except not knowing that you're prepared for those kinds of things. Now, I would also say, before my time run out, that the federal government reimbursed us 25 of the $30 million that we spent, but being prepared caused us not to have to do a millage rate increase nor a tax increase.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I am so glad you asked that question, because you know what? COVID-19 is going to put whoever the next chairman is in lieu to answer that question next year. Because we understand this is a crisis that we have never experienced before in our life. And yes, we have put reserves together. And I think that we've done a marvelous job of putting that three and a half years worth of reserves together as a county commission. At the same time, we've done a marvelous job of not having to move that millage rate. And so with us being able to be in position to do those two things, I think that next year is going to be the first challenge any of us as the county chair is going to have to face, because that COVID situation is not going to affect our budget as much in this year as it is going to affect us in 2021. And so when it comes time for us to make the budget for 2021, rest assured the chairman of the county is going to have to be responsible about making different decisions and changing different platform pieces within the current budget to suit whatever damage COVID-19 does the rest of this year. And so as a candidate running for county chair, what I want to do is say, we got to look at those things that's in the budget right now and say, hey, what can we take from this point or that point of the budget that we can secure the fact that we don't make any adjustments to that millage rate. We've done that the last couple of years. And in doing so, we have solidified ourselves with a 3-month reserve, 3.5-month reserve to be exact. Yeah, do we want more? Yes, we want more than that in the reserve. But in order to do so, we have to take from something. And so I think that we've done a marvelous job as far as being prepared for that is concerned. And I think we just need to capitalize on what we've done the last 3 years and just be mobile and more energetic about changing things and looking to find where we can get money where we don't have to make that adjustment to the millage rate.
Okay. Next question. What do you see as the roles of citizens regarding county government? What do you see as the roles of citizens regarding county government? It's open for anyone to start.
All right, I'll start here because I'm a big fan of citizens being involved in government and governmental decisions. What I would like to do as the chairman of the county commission is to open up something that has never been done before in Chatham County, and that's having bi-monthly meetings with neighborhood associations, with homeowners associations, and we talk about the problems that they're having, the needs that exist in those situations, so that you can get the diversity of the experience of the neighbors who live here. You can get their experience of what their jobs have been for the past 30, 40 years before they retire, those who are actively involved in those jobs. If the neighborhood is involved and we are making decisions that is neighborhood driven, and neighborhoods have the opportunities and residents have the opportunity to put their bit and put their pieces in, then we can all cook a great apple pie. But if someone leaves out the apple, there is no way we get apple pie. If someone leaves out the vanilla extract, then the pie is not going to taste good. And so I would like to institute going forward is that we have those town halls where citizens can come and can talk about those services and those entities that the county provides, and also have that done with the municipalities, have them come in and we talk about those things which are affecting us and how we can use the IGA, which is the intergovernmental agreement, the MOU, which is the memorandum of understanding, to promote activities here in Chatham County, because at the end of the day, we're all one Chatham County. It doesn't matter whether you live in Tybee or whether you live in Bloomingdale. It doesn't matter whether you live on Burnside Island or whether you live on Hutchinson Island. Everything affects us, all of us, in one. And we can say, just like Dr. King says, if there's injustice any place, there's injustice every place.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ellis, we had to mute you.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
This is Commissioner Jones. May I go ahead and answer the question, sir?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
All right. If you go and check my record, I have always been a listening ear to whatever the community has to say. And not just not just in ear and listening, but my voting record also backs that conversation up. I have made sure that when it was an issue dealing with animals, I was there. When it was an issue dealing with racial disparity, I was there. When it was an issue dealing with age, I was there. And my vote proved the fact that I was there in an effort to make sure I listened to the community. I've gone on record several times saying, hey, I'm not voting with this because I don't think we had enough community input. And so my point is this: as a county chair, you have to be willing to listen to the various different voices throughout the county. What's wanted in Tybee Island is not always what's wanted on the south side. And what's on the south side ain't always wanted on the east side. What's on the east side ain't always wanted on the west side. We all have different asks. We all have different opinions. We all understand that what's going on in Savannah doesn't always necessarily work with what's going on in Pooler. We have to understand we're very diverse. But as a chair, diversity is including all 8 districts. all 7 cities and the unincorporated areas, not just the ones in the wealthy areas, but the poor areas too. And so when you go on record as saying you want to be the county chair, you want to be the county chair for all of Chatham County. And so when people want to speak up and give their voice, you got to be willing to listen. And if you haven't heard enough to give a decision, you got to give them more chance to put their voice out there. And once again, I am on record for doing just that and saying that, hey, I don't have enough community input to give a solution or answer this piece right here. So do I agree with community input? Yes. And whatever and however the community wants to talk, I'm there for them to listen.
And I would agree with what both of the commissioners have said. You know, there's a saying that sunshine's the best disinfectant. I have seen so many times when a governmental entity would propose something, there's not a whole lot of public input, and consequently, on the other end, you get bad policy. So you have to make sure that the public has the opportunity to provide input, provide their thoughts, and tell the governmental entity that that's a really bad idea and here's why. I think that happens in some governments locally, but not all of them, for whatever reason. I love the idea of having the community meetings like the city of Savannah does a very good job of that, I think, neighborhood association meetings, and kind of branch that out to the county. I would also say a big piece of it is education. When I tell people I'm running for chairman, most of the people don't really know what the county does. There are a lot of people who live in portions of unincorporated county. When there's an election for, say, mayor of the city of Savannah, they get upset that they don't get a chance to vote for mayor because they just don't even know that they're not in the city of Savannah. So I think we need to, with so many different overlapping jurisdictions, I think the county needs to, can do more to educate citizens about what it is that the county does so that they can then provide input. I mean, the chairman is an extremely important position in the county, and we want to make sure that we have somebody that is willing to take input, is willing to reach out to people, is willing to return phone calls, is willing to engage people, nonprofits, anybody really in the decision-making process, and make them feel that they can get involved in their government.
Okay. Next question. And some of y'all alluded to this throughout this forum, and now you can go a little deeper. This is, how should the county government work with the municipalities, the school board, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, and state government? I will repeat. How should the county government work with the municipalities, the school board, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, and state government? Anyone can start.
All right, let me begin by telling you what we are doing now. Bi-monthly, we have a meeting of all the municipalities as well as all of commissioners. We are invited to come in and to speak about those things that we can help each other with, and not only help each other with, as I said before, with IGAs and MOUs, but you know that the jailhouse was built by cooperation of all communities with the county, and getting that in place. You know that the courthouse, the first courthouse, was built by those same areas. And so I see the challenge as when we come together and we talk about those things which are affecting each neighborhood, when we meet with the elected officials and we can find out how Garden City can help Savannah, Savannah can help Garden City, Pooler can help Port Wentworth can help Bloomingdale, Bloomingdale can help Tybee. When we have those meetings and we sit down to talk about the issues that affect all of us, not just one of us, then I see that we can come together and we can formulate a plan that's workable for everyone. Again, I say that together as Chatham Countyans, we must know that we all are one, and what affects one affects us all. And so therefore we must work on solutions. We have to bring to the table the Board of Education. We have to bring to the table the Ports Authority. We have to bring to the table Gulfstream. We have to bring all these entities in because we should know that the better we prepare our children, the better they become productive citizens, the more our crime rate go down. And so it's good for us to come together, discuss, and let us reason together and come up with a solution.
I'll go ahead, Jay. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I mentioned earlier a study that was done. It was done by CETA, and it was looking at what was Savannah and Chatham County going to look like 20 years down the road. And when they did that, they did a SWOT analysis. They looked at the community strengths, and we have a lot of strengths as a community. Our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. And the number one threat was a lack of collaboration between local governments. And I agree with that. I think we do need to work together. Some things have happened in the not too recent past that didn't need to happen, specifically between the city of Savannah and Chatham County. And I don't particularly blame anybody for that necessarily. I just think that was evidence of a lack of collaboration. Relative to working with the state and federal government, I think the county needs an advocate. I think the chairman ought to serve as the advocate for the county and what we need. I mean, there's talk about we need to deal with the bridge. You know, all those folks that work at the ports, the longshoremen, et cetera, they're going to have to make sure that you know, the ports are able to accept those ships, those bigger ships that are coming in, Panamax ships, and what's going to happen 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And we need an advocate to go, who's had experience working with the feds and working with the state and actually delivering results, who's able to do that. But just to repeat, I think it's critically important. It's really the main reason I'm running, is because I think that we need to have somebody in place that's going to really bring people together, not only governments, but our schools, our nonprofits, our businesses, our volunteer-based groups to get things accomplished.
Mr. Moderator, Commissioner Jones, can I go forward, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. I agree with both my fellow candidates. We do have to have that. And what was mentioned earlier, the Chatham Municipal Association, we do meet quarterly, and we do have these conversations, but those are just meet and greets. And we do get good conversation pieces out of it. I think that's where I first met Jason at, when he was a mayor. One thing I know I do, and I spoke of it earlier, if you can go back, I've already worked on relationships on the state level. ACCG is our state organization. It's our organization that connects us as county commissioners throughout the state of Georgia. NACO is National Association of County Officials, is our national association that connects us all together. I make sure that I'm in leadership roles in both of those levels, but locally, I have a strong relationship with the current city councilman in my district, and a strong relationship with the county school board person in my district. And I have two sets of those, and I have a great working relationship with the people on the city council. I'm friends with all 9 of them, because you know what? I understand how strong it is for the South Side, which is majority in that district, to have that conversation with those city leaders to make sure that those resources come to my current position. So yes, I'm very firm in believing that the levels of communication need to go countywide, and not just countywide, but statewide and federally, federal-wide, because that's how Chatham County grows. When I went to the first national convention, the first thing they told me is, we've been trying to get in Savannah, or we've been trying to get in Chatham County for years. We've been trying to give resources to Chatham County for years, but we have been pushed away, not given the opportunity to do so. So in the capacity of this leadership role, that is very important that we have communication across the board with all those various municipalities and those organizations that tie right here in the Chatham County.
Thank you. I had one last question, which was involving neighborhood conservation districts, but my leaders of the Culturist Union and the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber of Commerce say, no other questions from you, Jamal Toure. My leaders have told me that the questions will now come from the audience who've been listening and viewing this segment. So I'll now turn over to my leaders, those two wonderful ladies, and I know how to be obedient to my leaders.
Thank you. All right, the first question says, I would like to ask each candidate's opinion on affordable housing and what can be done. These questions are for all candidates, all candidates. I'll repeat the question. I would like to ask each candidate's opinion on affordable housing and what can be done.
Yeah, I'll begin because I have done extensive research in this area. Let me tell you the first question I get when I talk to on the national level, when I'm at NAC and when I'm at ACCG and when I'm with the other organization is, affordable for who? And what does affordable housing look like? One of the folks at ACCG said to me, $30,000 income in Savannah, Georgia is much different than a $35,000 income in Atlanta, Georgia, when you're talking about a house. All right. And so what I advocate is that I advocate income-based housing. Income-based housing says that a mother working at McDonald's during the day and say she has a job cleaning offices at night. If we do income-based housing rather than affordable housing, what that does is that allows us to look at the income that this mother is making and help her get into a house that is affordable for her, that is income-based for her, so that she doesn't have to put more than 40% of her income into her rent or into her house note, but that we can put it on a scale where she can manage and teaching her money management skills so that she can manage her household and so that she could have a home. So wherein I have conversations about what affordable housings are and who's affordable for. You take that same scenario, if you make $35,000 on a job and you move to California, that's going to be different than owning a house. And so, but now if you do income-based housing and make it affordable for those in their income level, then we can have more people who are homeowners than we could if we just put a blanket scale and say, this is affordable housing and you have to have a $150,000 house.
Yes, on top of, this is Gary Monroe running for the 8th District County Commission. Great points Mr. Ellis made regarding not only just affordable housing, but income-based. But on top of income, credit worthiness. I think we ought to have programs that assist in families. And I say families because not just say women, but communities are better when we can build that community around a family. That's both male and female in a home. So it's about also helping that woman, helping that man if they are single, or helping that family at ground zero with developing and helping them build significant credit capacity to be able to put them in a position to be able to say not only apply for a particular housing development or mortgage to be able to sustain. But I think for me, that's one of the avenues that I would look to in talking with one of the financial consultants that I've been working with, who we are looking to put and implement a community-based program that would assist families, again, whether they're women, whether they're men, and this can be implemented from a community-based, whether it's an after-school program or community at a community center, or funded through the church, or operated or functioned through the church at ground zero. And it is going to help and assist families and individuals be able to say, get their credit in a good position that they can be able to apply, whether it's mainly that you're keeping it to, say, housing, that they can be able to be in a position to even qualify for a loan for housing. So I think that's critical in and of itself. So not only
Had to mute you. We will take one. Dr. Joy laughing at me. We will take one more answer from this question.
Can I go? I mean, I saw Jason muted too, so I mean, I don't.
Go ahead.
All right. It's a great question. I sit on 3 boards. One, EOA. EOA does a lot dealing with transitional population, and federal guidelines has moved us out of transitional to permanent housing. And we just got awarded right at about $200,000 in transitional housing. That's providing housing for 12 families right there. Another thing that I sit on, Chatham, Savannah, Authority for the Homeless. This conversation is discussed. And the first thing we always talk about is NIMBY, not in my backyard. Nobody wants to deal with those kind of populations, whether it be homeless or even transitional or poverty driven. I allude to what Commissioner Ellis was talking about. We call it workforce housing. Another name for it is called workforce housing, where the housing is based on the level of what you bring as far as your financial receivables. So these are, and then also the biggest transition piece is transportation. We want to build more manufacturers, but unfortunately where the manufacturers are being built at, there's no transportation to get them to and from the city or those areas where we do have housing restraints or housing issues. So a lot of things have to be doing a collaboration amongst these partners, the county, other municipalities, to get together and say, hey, we have to look past those barriers of those individuals, and we have to find places for them to stay, to live, because they are part of our society. If you get rid of that workforce, you have no hotel industry. If you get rid of that workforce, you have no restaurant industry. And so that workforce is a vital piece of our core structure when it comes to our workforce. And so making sure that we take care of the least of these is just as important as we taking care of those people who can afford to do what they got to do. And a lot of that has to do with their education system, reinforcing their education system to not as far as having the dropout rates or those individuals who do not stay in school, building programs for them to be able to financially escalate themselves out of those impoverished situations is crucial to our community. So with 30% population, we got to take care of that.
We'll take.
You got waivable one time with me, Sabrina.
I'm quick with the mute button. We will take one more answer for this question, and then we'll move on to the next question.
Thank you for doing that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot being done on this issue. This is something that has always been an issue, but you've only heard about it, I think, and we've maybe only had a lot of discussions about it just more recent. At least I hear more about it recently, but it's definitely an issue, and homelessness is a growing issue for Chatham County, and we need to address it. But we also need to tackle it from the other side, which is making sure that there are good, high-paying jobs. And we hear a lot about we need to have more jobs. What are the job numbers? What's unemployment locally? But we need to talk more about careers. Let's create an economic situation where people can move into careers so that they can have high-paying jobs. The average cost of housing for rent in Chatham County per month, according to the county's budget document, is about $1,300 a month, which is very, very difficult to pay for that if you're making $10 to $12, $15 an hour. It's tough to do that, especially if you have kids. But the more we can do as a county to create an economic climate that is friendly to bringing in high-paying jobs and careers, that will take a little bit of a bite out of this apple. It's not possible for one person as a chairman to resolve this issue over 4 or 8 years, but I think it's important that we move that needle and improve the situation as best we can going forward, which is going to be tough. This is a tough situation. It's very complicated, but if you have 8 commissioners and the chairman all working together with the other municipalities, and establish that as a goal that you want to move the needle on this issue and on homelessness, I think can be done. I think some progress can be made. And I think the county's made progress, and the city of Savannah in particular has made a lot of progress on this issue in the last few years.
Awesome. Our next question says, can anyone expand on their plan for transportation expansion? I'll repeat the question. Can anyone expand on their plan for transportation expansion?
Well, transportation is a big issue here in Garden City, Gary Monroe. I live in Garden City, and that's a hot topic that's been on the table that for the city of Garden City, Cat Board, and Chatham County. And there's been mixed reviews about where the issue lies as far as expanding transportation here, not just in Garden City, but in West Chatham County, as was alluded to, ensuring that the working population of all of Chatham County are able to get to the various places of employment around the county of Chatham County and in the municipalities thereof, particularly in West Chatham County, because we have a lot of industries here. So I think that in the case with Chatham County, the Cat Board, and Garden City, that there has to be some more in-depth conversations. Jay perhaps can speak more on that, as he's been involved in these conversations and is getting all the players to the table and seeing how, whether it's the county, whether it's CAT, whether it's the municipalities themselves, what do we have to do to be able to expand transportation, as it is critical to a thriving economy, as well as to the quality of life in communities. When you got poor education, a poor transportation in a municipality, it can gravely affect the economies of that particular area. So it's about bringing about greater collaboration and communication with the various municipalities throughout Chatham County.
Yeah, okay. Let me
We'll take 2 more answers for this question.
All right, may I speak?
Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
I have served on the CAT Board, or the Chatham Area Transit Board. And one of the things that I was very disappointed in finding out that I did not know before I served on the board was in 1985-86, they took the transportation out of the hands of the county commissioners, and they formed the Chatham Area Transit Authority, who has direct influence over the transportation here in Chatham County. And one of the things that I was extremely disappointed in was finding out that municipalities opt out of putting into the transportation pot.
Right.
All right. And what I mean by that is the county passed that this is a holistic transportation bill that all municipalities would chip in, but there was a clause in there that would allow a transportation folk to step out. One of the things I fought hard for that I was never able to get in place was workers going to the sugar refinery had to get off the bus on Highway 21, walk over to Highway 25, and then from Highway 25, they had to walk on sugar refinery's properties for about a quarter of a mile. And so I talked with the folks at Sugar Refinery, and I asked them about wanting to help with the transportation of their workers. They were willing, but the municipality was not willing to put in and to pay those funds that would advance the transportation. And so in order for us to solve this problem, we all must come together as one. Everyone must put into the pot, including those industries which would need.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ellis, we had to mute you. Mr. Jones, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I currently sit on the Chatham Area Transit Board, and I sit as the vice chair. And I was there during those conversations and discussion. I am in full support of what Commissioner Ellis just spoke of, because that too is a very, very bad issue, very bad problem. Another issue was we spent the whole year discussing whether we wanted to be concentrated on ridership in the Savannah area versus making sure we expanded ridership to encompass the whole county area. That was a big discussion last year. Right now, currently with the Chatham Area Transit Board, we're in the process of hiring a CEO. And a part of that hiring of the CEO, these questions are being brought to those individuals who will lead that organization. And I sit on the ad hoc committee for Chatham Area Transit with three other committee members. And part of our challenge is to make sure that we meet the needs, just not for the current situation we're in, but expanded situation where we can make sure we're putting our arms in Garden City, Pooler, Tybee Island, Port Wentworth, Thunderbolt, and all the other various municipalities in our community. And so being on the board is very crucial for us to make sure we move this narrative forward. And so I promise you that by the end of the year, that part of that plan will be active and vibrant, because we are moving Chatham area forward. And we're also going to work on that Let's Go project that Mr. Monroe was alluding to. And first place I'm trying to get into is Garden City, because Garden City is where all that manufacturing is going to be put at.
Right.
Awesome. For the sake of time, we are going to stop. We want to thank each and every one of you for participating in this, and we want to invite you to connect with the Culturist Union or with the Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber to do one-on-one interviews where we can share your platform and do a deep dive into the issues that you and your constituents care about. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sabrina Newby and and Dr. Toure, and so thank you.
I thank you guys for being on. We did go over our 2-hour time frame, so we're at exactly 2.5 hours. We didn't want to make it too long because we wanted people to want more of what you have to say. So please engage us. Please talk with us so we can get your help, get your platforms out there. Again, thank you so much. Next week we'll be hosting the platform for our other county candidates and our state candidates, as well as our congressional candidates. So we hope that you tune in and share this platform, this video with your constituents so they can hear what you have to say. Again, my name is Sabrina Newby, and I thank you. Jamal, it's now your turn.
I'd just like to say thank you to all of the candidates. You brought up some information that is absolutely necessary, and I'm glad about that. Something I believe in. I believe in voter education, and we lack that not just in Chatham County, but that's throughout the entire nation. And so what you all did this evening, this afternoon, you provided that, and that is necessary. And I'll just say thank you to each one of you, because you brought up some very salient points that I now will embrace and put forth.
Anything y'all ladies need from me, I know how to get y'all. Appreciate y'all for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for having me, and you can sign me up as one of those first who will do individuals.
Awesome, awesome. Thank
Me
you,
too.
everybody.
Likewise. Thank you all very much.
Practice social distancing.
I certainly would like to thank you all very much. It's been a good evening. Thank you again, and we're looking forward to dealing with you in the near future. Stay safe and 6 feet apart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
We also
have a great evening.
The Honorable Melinda Hodges, who was responsible for elections here. She's been with us the entire time. The Honorable Melinda Hodges.
Hello, Ms. Hodge.
Hi.
I saw you, but I don't know a lot of folks, but welcome and thank you for watching tonight.
No, thank you for the opportunity to participate. This was awesome and much needed. As you all know, elections were moved up to June 9th. So The staff has been frantic trying to prepare for the date because there's been some difficulty with moving the dates because it takes an act of legislature. And so that's been the issue. But because the governor has extended his declaration of emergency, we were able to get Rasperger to change the date. So that's been a whirlwind. So I commend you all for doing this. This was much needed because the candidates definitely need a forum to get their messages out to people while they're trying to, it's been a challenge. So thank you for this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Please remember, go ahead, Albie.
I was just gonna say, please, if you haven't already, DM the Culturist using your email address. We can make sure that we get this information to you and get this recorded video out to you ASAP.
Okay.
Again, thank you all for having me. It was a great opportunity. And yes, I'll be more than happy to be on one of your platforms, but we can just answer and get into a whole lot of questions. So thank you.
Awesome sauce, awesome stuff. Thank you, guys. Everyone be safe, please.
It's Newbie.
Thank you.
Sabrina?
Yes. Yes.
Hi, this is Tia.
Tia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry,
It's
I'm
okay.
on my phone, so
You
I
okay?
can't see your face. So
Can you see me now?
let me see.
I wanted to know, could we talk offline for some of the citizens who are not on social media, right? We have some information that we think that we could get out to maybe even a mailing campaign to reach people that are not on social media. So I would really be honored to talk to you guys offline to see if it's something that you guys can help us with.
Absolutely, and I can see your face now. But yes, definitely, we would love to. Any way that we can help help bring some sort of semblance to normalcy to the campaign trail, we will be more than happy to participate.
Okay. I'm gonna put my email down at the bottom. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, thank you all for tuning in again. Again, please be safe. We are at that critical point where we're climbing up to that peak, and then hopefully we're going to come down. And I pray everyone comes down safely and just healthy. So please, 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 please practice safe precautions and measures, and just help get the word out to everyone else, because we have to be Coastal Georgia strong, and I do believe we will be.
And the greatest high school in Chatham County is Herschel B. Jenkins High School.
Y'all knew y'all were gonna get something right.
HBJ.
Don't you start nothing you can't finish, because you know I taught you.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Y'all be blessed.
Same to you.